just ask you? What are you demonstrating about?
Asylum seekers to go back to their own country.
Yeah.
Well, I feel that they've been here long enough, the war's over. Can't they go back and rebuild their own homes instead of filling up ours?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't invite them, I'm not paying for them.
Why should we?
Why should we pay for them?
Mm-hmm. We work bloody hard.
We pay our taxes, we pay everything that we should pay, and they seem to have everything that everybody else has by doing nothing.
What do you think should happen to them?
I think they should be sent back.
They've got nice houses, they've got nice fucking cars, they've got nice... My mum, yeah, she's got a tatty old car. I saw an Albanian going past in a convertible. They come over here with no passports, jack shit, and they get fucking treated like fucking... They get loads of respect, and we get fucking treated like shit by the council.
So they get...
Many have come to oppose the National Front. The police move in, and the front begin their way down Margate seafront. The anti-Nazis block the road, and clashes follow. But why is this happening here, in one of Britain's oldest holiday resorts? Is this really about asylum seekers? What are the problems here? Margate, Ramsgate and Broadstairs are the three main towns of Thanet, East Kent. Margate was one of Britain's first seaside holiday resorts. For over 100 years, holidaymakers flocked to Margate, Ramsgate and Broadstairs, and were the main source of money and jobs.
I remember one old geezer telling me that when he was a boy, you had to. So many people came to Ramsgate for a holiday in the summer that you had to book really a long time in advance, and people would come down with tents and camp out on any bits of wasteland they had, bits of grass, just to be here because there were so many people. Just over opposite where we're sitting now, there was these lights across the harbour, I remember, saying "Welcome to Ramsgate," with a Cinderella's coach and horses in lights with the wheels seeming to go round. It just seemed the centre of all things then.
What did you think about this place when you were living here, when you were a kid?
I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. I did. It just seemed very... living there, this whole area seemed very alive. It just seemed to be the centre of the universe to me. Now it seems like the baking bum of nowhere. I moved away for about 5 years, and when I came back, it seemed like someone had switched the place off or something. I came back to Ramsgate, it just seemed so dead in comparison to how it used to be. It's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking.
It used to be so popular if one goes back 20 years, 30 years ago. I remember myself standing by Thanet Way as a child, watching the coaches go by, and there were so many. I used to collect the names of coach operators. Well, it was one of the places to be. Thanet Way would be packed with coaches coming down, with Londoners especially, on the big red buses, and the coaches coming down here to enjoy themselves. And it was a traditional day out, and one of the highlights of the year. Now how many come down here? Very, very few indeed. I think it's very, very sad. It used to be such a popular destination down here. Here we are in the middle of the August, the sun's shining. The families aren't here anymore.
Now down to the main beach. Sheltered by the cliffs, it's a sun trap facing south. and a paradise for children with soft sand. And where the
With little in the way of alternative employment, Thanet changed from holiday paradise to poverty trap.
When I first moved to Thanet, I came down and visited a few times while I still live in Southampton, and it was all like a dream place to me. I thought, oh, the beach, you know, because we didn't have that down there. I thought the arcades and everything, and I thought, oh, this seems a nice place to move to. And when I got here, after a while, it just seemed like, wow, just so many people unemployed here. Couldn't believe it, actually, how much the unemployment was in this place. There was a lot of young mothers and her partners who didn't have jobs. And I was just surrounded by them all, actually. When I moved down, I couldn't believe it, how much it was. To make ends meet, it is difficult, yeah, definitely. I mean, well, I struggle from each week to each week. It's a struggle. I get paid on a Friday. By the time I get back and done my shopping, I know that until next Friday, it's the next time I'm going to get my money, and that is it. I'm skint. And the only way I get by is to borrow throughout the week. So then you know you've got to pay the money back, and it's just a vicious circle. That's what it's like.
Holiday shopping is always a little more interesting. Walk around and choose your gifts and cards, and enjoy doing it. There are plenty of shops, and whether you feel like a spending spree, and who doesn't, or just dreaming of one, the thought is fun.
I sometimes lay awake at night thinking, oh, how can I pay it all off? And it scares me.
Do you
know? I know I can't pay it. I know that I'll end up probably, like, if the debt collector people come round, it'll take me years to pay it off. But that is my worry, the debt I've got myself into.
Mum, when are we going to shops?
It's hard. Hard when you've got nothing to aim for. If you had something to aim for, to go for, then you would do it, wouldn't you? You would get up and think, right, I'm going to do that. But there's just nothing to look out for, to aim for.
Ramsgate is a town of enterprise, and residents and holidaymakers alike join in the fun.
Thanet's just nothing, do you know what I mean? It's just really the dead end of England, the arse end of England, nothing there.
Do you want to move away?
Well, if I'm looking for a decent job, then I've got no choice but to, really. Or travel, at least. Do you know what I mean? Because there's no jobs down here. The only way you're going to get a decent job down here, that's a lucky break.
You've got to have money to survive. And if there's no jobs, you can't live on £37 a week or whatever it is off the social. You've got to go out and you've got to, you know, find a little sideline here and there, like get a bit of money behind it.
Have you got friends, know people who've ended up in prison?
Yeah, my brother's been in prison loads of times, like, all sorts of different reasons. But, I mean, it's the way of life down here.
How do you see the future for this area and people living
Well, if something isn't done about it quick,
it's going to just go downhill. We're going to have riots or
it's probably just going to be one of the futuristic prisons where they're going to outlaw Thanet and just put all the bad people on it. And just keep them in that, you know what I mean? And then the rest of England's going to be like the old upper class and middle class and things like that, just the people that just don't touch anything. And, do you know what I mean? But Thanet's just going to be the prison of England, isn't it?
There are plenty of places to stay too, all popular for their hospitality and happy atmosphere.
It was a thoroughly busy hotel. We started with a 20-week season. We built it up and built it up. In 1991-2, we had 40 weeks of business, which is a lot of money. Our turnover went from 67,000 in 80 to 291,000 in 91. We were doing good dough.
When did things start to change?
Probably 5 years before, the late 80s. we noticed that DSS were coming into this area. We actually asked for a meeting with the council. I think I was the chairman of the hoteliers at that time, and they absolutely said there was no problem with DSS in this area at all. It was well under control. There was something like 17 establishments taking it, and they knew all about it, and was never going to worry the hotel business.
What happened?
Well, the DSS encroached more and more into the area. It became very noticeable eventually. We had a long-term coach contract with a company up north who used to bring us 12 weeks business a year. And the question was, Michael, how close is the nearest DSS hostel to you? On the telephone. And I said, oh, I lied. A couple of streets away, you know, really. Actually, it was there. And he said, well, I've had reports and I'm going to pop down to see you. So he came, spot visit. There were people standing on the ramparts, urinating on the passers-by, and business disappeared.
It's somewhere to live. Basically, that's where it's somewhere to live. And I'm grateful for that.
How difficult is it to make ends meet on the money?
Very difficult, especially when you've got a child who's growing up so fast. A child needs individual attention from his mum and his dad. He's not getting that properly in a place like this. You just take a walk round, the amount of empty and derelict buildings, do them up. Give someone a chance, because that's all you need in life is a chance.
In 1999, the Riverdale saw a new beginning when it was taken over by a London businessman. With £42,000 of European regeneration funding, it was refurbished and relaunched, hoping to do big business.
Are you looking forward to a busy summer?
Very busy summer, yes, we are, yes. We have a lot of bookings at the moment, and by looking at those lot of bookings, we can predict that we will have a very good summer this year. Fingers crossed.
But why are there so many asylum seekers in Thanet?
One has to look at why they came here, what was here for them, and what was here before they arrived. And it comes down to one factor and one factor only, and that is available cheap accommodation. So we can date it precisely to the decline of the holiday trade. So rooms are coming onto the market, cheap rooms, available rooms, instantly available rooms, at the same time as thousands of homeless people are coming into the country. Now, you don't have to be too clever to put two and two together and say, where should we put these people into Thanet?
Thanet is much poorer than the rest of the southeast of England. Parts are as poor as the poorest inner city areas.
Has that poverty been caused by the refugees?
No, it was something that has been here for a long time. If you were here 15 years ago, you would have noticed it a lot more than you notice it now.
What caused those problems?
Mrs. Thatcher, really. That's how I see it. A lady who was seemingly mad keen to leave her mark, and unfortunately her mark turned out to be a black spot for Thanet anyway.
God, did she really go mad? I mean, I can't believe that you have a woman that I feel brought this country to its knees, who's now sitting in the House of Lords. I'd take her out and shoot her. I would, honestly. And I'm not a revolutionary at all. I'm a very moderate man. Well, I think I am. Perhaps I'm not so moderate these days.
Until the mid-1990s, Thanet was a Tory stronghold. It had a Conservative council, and 2 Conservative MPs, including ex-Cabinet Minister Jonathan Aitken. But a few years ago, like much of Britain, Thanet went Labour, voting in a Labour council and a Labour MP, Steve Ladyman.
But I think the future over the next 20 years is going to be very bright. I think this is going to be a very prosperous community and a very pleasant community to live, and it's going to build on what's best about Thanet, which are the positive aspects of the people who live here.
New Labour promised to regenerate Thanet using European funding. It built 3 business parks, to which it claimed it would attract new industry, providing employment, prosperity. But what's been the result of all the hype?
And the business parks, are they actually filling up with lots of companies, do you think?
Well, put it this way, businesses are not flocking to the business park or the business parks. You ask me what has moved on to them, I'd be hard pushed. I think what has. There's one splendid car park manufacturer which has been there for years and years and years and has sat there in wonderful isolation there. And I think that obviously they're happy there, perhaps they're like looking at the rabbits or whatever you get in the fields around there. But so the signs coming into Thanet for business parks, follow signs to Ramsgate. But I just wish more businesses did.
It's going ahead. It's slow. We've been in office now almost 4 years, and truthfully, I would have expected that we would have been more ahead than we are. But it is difficult to encourage companies to come and locate here. We are meeting with success, but there's still a long way to go.
What makes the difficulties then?
I'm not sure.
So, have you seen any tangible evidence yourself of regeneration happening in Thanet?
We are seeing some companies coming in. Unfortunately, at the same time, others are dropping off the edge. It seems that every time we report a story that a new company is moving in, we have the sad news that a dozen jobs are lost here, 20 there, 30 there. Hornby has been shedding jobs, and only this week we learned that another Ramsgate firm is going to shed a dozen, and so it goes on.
There are some signs of recovery, but are jobs coming?
The employment rate is falling, but not to an acceptable level. And one wonders how much of the rate is being affected by part-time jobs, by job shares, rather than the traditional full-time work. Male unemployment is still, I believe the last figure was somewhere around about 14%.
Which is very, very high. For male unemployment, it's one of the highest.
It puts us in with the real badlands of the North East and in Wales. But again, it must be put in the context of every available grant, I should imagine, has been available to Thanet for the last few years, from Europe, from the government, from all sorts of other quangos here, there and everywhere. They all seem to be offering us money. This is what worries me. I'm sure that there are a lot of bodies who are working to the best of their ability, but if we are doing no better than treading water with this huge investment, how well will we do when the taps are turned off, which inevitably must happen at some stage?
We've talked to several people who were very enthusiastic about Labour winning both in the council elections and New Labour winning nationally 4 years ago, whatever it was. There is a feeling of disappointment amongst them now, a sort of disillusionment. What would you say to them?
I'd say to them, just be a little patient. It takes time to change round 18 years of destruction.
It always seems to be jam tomorrow in Thanet.
Jam every other day. You get jam every other day in Thanet. Never today, every other day.
Autumn 1999 sees a wave of anti-refugee stories in local and national papers. Nearby Dover is a particular hotspot. A row breaks out when it's revealed that one of the area's biggest hotels is housing asylum seekers. And in May 2000, the government announces plans to locate a refugee detention centre in one of Thanet's business parks. At first, the local MP is against the centre, but changes his mind when the government says it will provide 200 jobs for Thanet. Meanwhile, some Margate hotels claim the refugees are damaging their business.
Do you think it might lead to racism in Thanet?
No, I wouldn't think so, no. I think we're fortunate that that isn't a problem that we have here, and it never was when we had the Ethiopians and the others here. So no, I wouldn't expect so. Providing I think people can see and be satisfied that the problem's being dealt with.
Why are you here?
Don't like Kosovans, because they're taking over the English people.
Yeah. Why do Kosovans live here? Kosovans live here, we're English. They shouldn't live here. Like, we live here. So they should fucking...
Yeah,
just fuck off, really.
Should.
What do we want Kosovans out? Where do we want it? Now!
Are anti-asylum seekers racists?
Yeah, I bet they are.
Are you a racist?
Yeah, I am, yeah.
If the refugees keep coming in, what do you think's going to happen if they...
Well, they will shoot the fuckers. That's what I think. And we should stop them coming in.
I do think it will...
Finding that, get them.
White, bright and beautiful. That's it, sister.
You're in favour of which? Which side are you on?
Nazis.
Our side.
Nazis?
Yeah. What is a Nazi then?
Nothing. Nazis, someone's helping.
Helping what?
You know, helping them. You know, it's not like they're the only ones who've got to stand up basically to all the Kosovans. You know.
Have you personally suffered from it? Has it affected you?
Yeah.
In what way?
In what way? Sometimes they go down to like the food markets, dip their fingers in food, and then leave the packets on the shelves.
Yeah, isn't it? You're traitors to your country.
Great.
Proud to be a Nazi?
Yeah. Proud to be a Nazi, and always will be. Sweet.
I'm not here to preach about Jews, coloured niggers and things like that. I'm here to preach about asylum seekers in my town. And they're putting us out of work. They're using all the B&Bs, they're filling up all the freaking hotels, and they are scum.
Do you think
they're so dirty, they are so dirty, you know.
But who are the refugees? Why have they come here? Many asylum seekers have come to Britain as refugees from war, most recently from Kosovo.
I am 38. Actually, I will be in June 39. And I don't know how it seems, how it's feeling to be free in your country. I never had that feeling indeed. Every day you wake up, you start your job or whatever, you go do shopping or whatever you do, you think how to protect yourself if this happened, if that happened.
Hamide is an Albanian from a country of bitter, sometimes deadly ethnic divisions.
Only that Albanian is good Albanian. It was a sentence which we hear every day in our life. And living with that you are good only if you are dead, It gives you impression that you don't belong there.
Did you feel in danger most of the time?
Every minute, every second. I mean, they just want to make you forget that you are human beings, to give up from your dignity. What could be worse when you are forced to give up from being human beings?
Hamide was a journalist trying to report on what was happening. She risked imprisonment and worse.
If somebody came and raped your wife in front of you, and you are a husband who watched that, how would somebody feel about that?
Her worst moment came when she was arrested by the special Serbian police force and interrogated.
I mean, I was very scared, to be honest. I don't know how can't you be scared if you know that such terrible things have happened to people. When I come in Rome, I choose a place near the window. I think in case they try to humiliate me, which was their profession, I will jump through the window. I didn't care about my life.
What do you say to English people who don't like refugees coming to England and they think they're coming to take advantage of the English system?
I will say, unfortunately, it have to happen such huge genocide on my nation to make some people understand that we don't flee our country because we want it. It's not our choice. We have been made, even before this. People have been made. When you have no perspective, when you get threatened every day, every minute, when you have no chance for life, you look to find some opportunity. Even animals try to survive. So should we?
Many asylum seekers are people who've been persecuted for their political beliefs. Fred was opposed to the way his government was closing down schools and universities. He dared to speak out, which got him into trouble with the authorities.
It was a bad time for my life. I didn't know that they could have done such. They were able to do that kind of things to human beings. At the beginning I was crying. I was very sad, worrying about what's going to happen. And the difference I saw about people there was refugees, they were sad because they didn't know how long they are going to stay.
Yeah.
But people who commit crime or small crime, they were happy because they will tell you, okay, look, I've got 6 months left. But for refugees, they didn't know how long they are going to stay in prison.
Unaware of why he'd been put in jail or how long he'd be there, Fred planned to kill himself. He complained of headaches and was given paracetamol tablets, but he only pretended to take them. As the days passed, his store of tablets got bigger and bigger.
And I wanted to get as much I can, so when I will drink it one day, it will be the end. But I took quite many, and later I read in the newspaper, when I was ready to take it really, I read the newspaper that one man took, I can't remember how many, but it was more than mine that I had because of his girlfriend. But he didn't die. I said to myself, although I don't have enough.
Fred was eventually released and granted asylum. He now works part-time as a nurse in a London mental hospital.
I didn't mean to leave my country because I love my country. I would like to stay there. But there are things which can happen in your life that you've never think that it can happen to you.
This is Jiri and his family. Jiri is from the Czech Republic, where until recently he lived a contented life, working in a factory. But he's of Roma gypsy origin, more dark-skinned than other Czechs, and his family, with thousands of others like them, have now become victims of brutal racial discrimination.
Some people in Czech are called skinheads. They attack people for no reason, just because of their dark colour. And I don't know why they attack us or hate us just because of our colour. When they tell us to go back to your own country. This isn't your country. Go to India. But we can't go to India because we were born in Czechoslovakia. So that's our country.
After months of intimidation, Jiri and his family were attacked by a gang of skinheads.
They kicked me in the back and in my legs. I was trying to protect my children, but I couldn't. They beat up my wife. They were pulling her by her hair. We were shouting. Some people were walking nearby, and we hoped they would help us, because we were shouting for help. But we were wrong. They shouted to those guys, "Go on, beat them up, kill them."
With no one to help them, and the police unsympathetic, Jiri became desperate.
I was afraid that if they killed me and my wife, they would probably kill my children as well. If they didn't kill me or my wife, they might kill my children. If they killed my children, I would have gone to a train station to kill myself, my wife as well. I wanted to save my family.
The National Front tried to march down Margate seafront. As before, the Anti-Nazi League and other local people blocked their path. The police tried to force a way through for the front. Clashes follow.
The National Front represents the worst of humanity. Yeah, it is actually scapegoating people that are the victims of the system. They're as much a victim of, what's going on worldwide. I mean, the world's never known so many refugees and asylum seekers as it has now. But that's not. They are the victims. They're not the perpetrators of what's going on locally. And I'll stand against anybody that will actually try to scapegoat them and cause danger to them.
Neighbours of mine go to church regularly and they're condemning refugees without thinking about it, just by reading the local press and by reading the tabloids.
I've lived here for 30 odd years and I've seen the decline of Thanet. I've seen the rundown of Thanet, and I've seen lack of funding. I've seen jobs that the council have advertised, trying to bring in business at low-waged economy. These are the things that are the concerns for the government, and people are, are disenfranchised. They don't know who to actually blame when it's the governments that are to blame, and it's easy to scapegoat a minority that have come in, but it doesn't resolve the problems of Thanet or anywhere else, in the country.
And even the people in charity shops, when the refugees come out, will get air fresheners, as though they're dirty, as though they're some, horrible form of life, and they're not. They're people the same as everybody else.
I have friends, British friends. They told me they get together for Christmas. I would like to get opportunity to meet my mother, my father, brothers, sisters, all us once more. My mother haven't seen its nephews since they are born.
What do you think about the Labour Party's attitude to immigration? Do you think that's helping the situation?
Well, no. I mean, the Labour Party is trying to outrace the racist Tories. I mean, when I've heard some of the remarks made by our local MP and Anne Widdecombe, they're just fostering this racism that is evident today. Labour, well, the only thing I can say, Jack Straw and the cohorts of Jack Straw should be ashamed. They should be ashamed that they're turning there's a Labour government and they're turning their back on ordinary decent people and saying, well, we'll keep them out.
I don't begrudge them coming to the country at all. I mean, what civilisation's built on is compassion and care for others.
The English people are lovely people. The problem is that we don't know them and they don't know us. I want to live my life in peace and be safe. And like God says, everyone, black, white, everyone will love each other.
And think that people coming to this country, they are human beings. The only thing they want is to save their life. They want to live, to have freedom. English people, you are lucky because you are living in a free country. But I was born in a country that there were no freedom.
Well, I think you only have to hear the history of Nazi Germany, and everybody, every child, every person should understand, what went on at that time and how the Nazis got into power. We've learnt those lessons of history, but unfortunately a lot of people, died. Millions of people died while those lessons were being learnt. But we've learnt the lessons of history, and it's been a hard lesson, and we should never forget, never.
Nothing safe! 58 dead!
This demonstration is an important part of the anti-racist movement all across Europe, and it's much bigger than the Daily Mail and other media will ever let us know. The deaths in Dover on Monday were a consequence of the draconian anti-asylum policies being followed by this country and others. Those who are appalled at the deaths should stop to think for a moment what it is that drives people to pay people to smuggle them across Europe, to pay people to smuggle them out of the society in which they live, to pay people to try to get them somewhere better to live, which often doesn't work out like that, because of the desperation in which they're living. And when people say, well, there's a difference between political and economic migrants, I'm not so sure. If you're in a society riven with poverty, riven with unemployment, with the IMF telling you to cut public expenditure, close down schools, close down social services, and you're a trade union leader standing up against that, then you're political, you're economic, you're social, you're everything. You're a victim and you're a migrant.
58 dead! Nothing said! 58 dead! Nothing said! 58 dead! Nothing said!
Sometimes you wonder whether the politicians in this country have any shame at all. 58 people die in a truck in the most disgusting and desperate conditions, and they don't show remorse, they don't show regret. They say it's time to clamp down on those people even more. It's time to be harder on asylum seekers, they say, even more than we were in the past. The very conditions that create the circumstances that killed those people, this government wants to make even worse.
The real problem isn't the asylum seekers or refugees, or the Kurds, or the Roma gypsies that have come, or people who've come from Sudan. The real problem in this country is racism and the racism of the political parties. That is the problem that we've got to confront. And it's a problem that is growing and growing and growing.
When I was a kid,
at the age of 10, I went out on Sunday, only a few yards from where we are, because I was born across the river, and I saw Oswald Mosley and the fascists marching. And it terrified me. As a 10-year-old boy, seeing the black shirts marching, turning on the Jews and the communists and the trade unionists. And the reason that Hitler came to power in Germany was that the Germans were despairing and pessimistic. And a man came along and he said, I will solve your problems. I will give you full employment. It's all due to the Jews. And the Jews were murdered in the Holocaust. And Hitler did give the German people full employment. He armed them. And then 50 million people died in the Second World War. And we cannot allow that to happen again. And now the last point really is this terrible danger of finding a scapegoat, because if you can get working people to blame each other for unemployment and poverty and poor housing, then the people at the top who are sitting pretty with money rolling into the bank can rest content, because they know that working class whites will be hating working class blacks or Chinese or whoever, and therefore their privileges will not be threatened. We are all members of one community, comrades, and this demonstration proves it, and we must make it the beginning of a really big campaign that no government in Britain dares to ignore. Thank you very much indeed.